What's up, guys? Jose from Fire Investments here again, financial independence through real estate. And today I want to talk to you about door knocking. And so there's no way around it. It's always going to be awkward. And it's because you're invading someone else's space. But if it's a listing, if it's a deal that you think is just too good to pass up, you're going to have to do it because they're not responding to your phone calls, they're not responding to your mail, they're not responding to your email, and you just need to go, take that extra mile. And so I wanted to share my tips based off of my experience of door knocking. Okay, so my first tip is to make sure you have a goal in mind. Is this going to be a listing? Or are you going to go out there and look to purchase this property? So if you're going to do a listing, well, you need to have, your all the types of services that you're going to provide the owner when you list the property. So this is our marketing plan. This is how many people we're going to put on it. This is the budget we might need from you in order to list this property and market it properly. Or if you're an investor, and you want to say, hey, look, you've got this vacant parcel. It's zoned residential. I want to develop that into a nice, 5-unit and put some nice families in there. And so you need to kind of know that when you're first going through there. And you're going to explain all this to the owner when you knock on their door. So, okay, and the second tip is you're going to have to do a little bit of prep work. So what you're going to want to either try to leave a voicemail for them. If you have their number, you're going to say, hey, my name is Jose. I was interested in your property at 123 State Street. I'd love to talk to you about it. Again, my name is Jose from your brokerage or investment company, blah, blah, blah. And you leave that. Sometime, a few days or a week before then. But you also want to send a postcard or a letter, especially something that you can put your face on. You're going to want to send that to them ahead of time as well. And then the reason I want you to do that is because when you knock on that door, you're a complete stranger. But if you leave a voicemail that says, hey, my name is Jose Guevara, and then you send them a piece of, postcard, a piece of mail that says, Jose Guevara, this is my number, blah, blah, blah. That's already sets them up to kind of know you. You've already kind of broken down a couple of the barriers there. You're not a complete stranger. They know who you are in a sense. And so if you leave a picture there, when you knock on the door, you're like, human beings are naturally hardwired to recognize faces. So if you can put your face on a piece of mail and they see it, the first time they see it, they're going to be like, who the hell is this? Whatever. But when they see you at the door, they're going to be like, wait a minute, I've seen you somewhere before. And so that breaks down a couple of barriers. It lets you build rapport a little bit faster. And the second part of your prep work is to make sure you have a flyer, maybe even a flyer for their property. So you want to have like a template, something you're going to print out actually. If you can email it to them, that's just as good. With maybe the property address, have your contact information, kind of maybe even your suggested listing price, anything that, something you're going to leave them at the end of when you're done door knocking. So make sure to do your prep work. Okay, and the next step is you're going to want to pull some comps and know a little bit more about the owner and the property. So, you don't want to walk up there, and this happens almost every single time, is you knock on the door, you're like, hey, start building rapport. You have at some point you're going to be like, what do you think the property is worth? And the most popular response is, well, I've got a realtor friend that says it's worth, $1 million. Every single one of them has that. And so you need a way of bringing their expectations down a little bit because, a broker that doesn't have any skin in the game can just blow out any kind of number, right? But everything always comes down to comps, right? The funding, the purchase price, all that stuff has to be kind of based in reality. So make sure to do some homework with the comps, but also know a little bit about the property. Like, what are some things what are some new developments or some other rehabs near there that are kind of going to tell you a little bit more about where that neighborhood's going. So make sure you know a little bit more about the property and obviously the zoning. If you're going to sell this to somebody or you're going to do something with it with the property yourself, what are some exit strategies that would work for that property, right? And so also do your homework on the actual owner. Is this the only property that they own here? What kind of business are they in? Just the tools available to us as brokers, we can learn a lot about a single person by their name and where they live. So make sure to do a little bit of that homework. So when things start coming up, you're having a conversation with this person, you're actually there as someone that knows a lot about them. And, I think it makes them a little bit more comfortable with you. So make sure to do your homework. Okay. And so, this next step, think about how you're going to dress. So you don't want to walk up at somebody's door, maybe in the late afternoon when it's already getting dark, and you're in a hoodie and jeans, right? And you're just walking up and knock on the door, dogs barking and all this stuff, and they look through their peephole and you're just some random guy sitting there, right? So what I like to do is obviously dress, a nice shirt, maybe some slacks, you look for somewhat professional. But one thing I also like to do is I like to have a little name tag. With my name on it, so that when they're talking to you, they know they don't have to constantly think about what your name is. But it also makes you look, kind of like you're there for business, right? Not just some random guy asking for food off the street or something like that. I also like to have a little clipboard because there I could have, my pen. I can write notes. I'll have my flyer there that I'm going to leave at the end of the conversation. And so, again, you're walking up there as some sort of professional solicitor. Nobody likes those, but at the very least, they know you're not, there to hurt them, or people's minds run wild when they don't, when they're confused. So make sure you kind of present yourself as a professional when you're walking up on that door. So it starts with your dress. Okay, so I think now you're ready to go knock on someone's door, and so. What are you going to expect? Well, you should expect the unexpected because it's always going to be different. You're always going to be some weird neighborhood. It's probably going to be in the morning when they're going to be there. And so, there's going to be dogs barking, cats running around. Everything's going to be dirty sometimes. There's going to be people yelling. There's going to be, the lawnmower guy's always out there in the morning. And so I was thinking, hey, is there a movie clip or is there a TV show clip out there that gives an example of what door knocking's like? And I came up with this.
Who's there? What do you want?
Is this the Stewart residence?
Why are you here?
I've come about the room.
What do you want?
I've come about the room.
Go away.
Do you have a room to rent?
Not for rent.
I thought it was for rent.
Fuck off.
And so, as funny as that clip is, you just keep in mind that it's never going to be the same. It's always going to be awkward, but you want to be, persistent and patient when you're going to be going up to that door. You're going to want to sit there, plant yourself and say, I'm going to have a long conversation with this person. And the only way it's going to, end abruptly is if they shut the door in my face. And so that's the kind of mindset you need to go in there. They don't always go like that, but every single situation is a little bit different. So you've only got maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do your pitch and get as much information about the property and them and their intentions. And so you want to make the most of it. And so you also you have a very limited time to even build some rapport, because are they going to remember you the next time you call, the next time you drop by or whatever? So you got to make an impression. Okay, so finally, you go knock on the door and hopefully someone answers the door and says, hello, can I help you? And this is your chance. Now this is where the, 3 to 5 minutes of your conversation starts. You only have that limited amount of time. So, hopefully you come up with a pitch. You might want to say something like this. Say, oh, hey, Gertrude, yeah, I was driving down State Street and I noticed your property right there, 123 State Street, was vacant. I always drive by that on my way to get tacos at the taco shop around the corner for my buddy Alan and myself. And so, I always noticed that it was vacant. Is there a reason why? Can you tell me a little more about, why it's vacant and maybe what your intentions are for the property? And so that opens, something like that. You want to open up the conversation with your intentions and how you came to know the property and that who they are. And, start leading them to give you some more information, but also at the same time get to know you a little bit more and what your intentions are. Remember that homework that you were supposed to do. And so start breaking down the barriers and build rapport. Okay, so during your conversation, try to get 3 pieces of information about their situation. So, what are their goals? So Are they looking to, lease the property out? Are they looking to sell it? Are they looking to retire anytime soon, right? Because, real estate's just a vehicle, but, people have use real estate for other reasons, for money, for, financial security, and all that stuff. So find out what their goals are with that property, or what just their overall real estate strategy is. Because as a broker, you deal in real estate services, so you want to know when their next real estate event is, especially with this property. But also try to get them to tell you what they think the property is worth. And again, they're going to have that real estate broker friend that says, "Hey, it's worth $1 million," but you've already pulled comps. Remember the prep work we did? You're going to be like, "Well, properties in this area, similar type, I pulled the comps. It's only worth, 550, 650, something like that, right?" And that's going to be your way of bringing that, that expectation down a little bit. And so, the next thing you want to do is kind of what their timeline is. If it's been sitting there for a month, for a year, they might not be that motivated or something like that. So try to be like, okay, well, are you looking to lease that up soon? Are you looking to sell it soon? Or, maybe I can follow up with you in 6 months or a year, or maybe they're waiting for, maybe some sort of other personal event to happen. Maybe they're waiting for, a family member to pass. Something like that. And so you want to, again, you're trying to, just figure out the situation. What's going to get, when the next real estate event's going to happen. So, okay, so you've been speaking to them for 3 to 5 minutes. They haven't shut the door in your face. Now's the time to ask for a property tour. So you might say something like this. "Yeah, I really think I can help you lease this property out, or I can find a buyer for your property. But I'm going to need to look at the inside. So I can give them all the details when they ask, when can we do a property tour?" And so by asking that, and depending on what the response is, you're going to gauge what their motivation is, and if they trust you or not. So try to get a property tour. Ask a couple of times if you can. Okay, and so the next 2 steps need to go in sequence. So the first one is, you want to ask them, "Okay, well, what's the best way to follow up with you?" And don't say anything. Let them tell you. And so maybe it'll be an email. Maybe it'll be hopefully a phone number. That's one of the top goals you want to get out of this conversation, is so you don't have to drive to their house every single time you want to ask a question. Or they might say, "Come back in 6 months," or something like that. So try to get them, find out what the best way and best time to follow up with them is. And so that's the first step. Now that if depending on what the response is, now it's time to give them the flyer. Be like, "Hey, here's my contact information is on this flyer. I put some more details about the property, maybe some comps, maybe some things that are going on in that neighborhood or something like that. It just depends on how you built the flyer." And now give it to them. And the reason you want to put those things in that sequence is, if you gave them the flyer first and then you ask them, "What's the best way to follow up with you?" They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I've got your contact information. I'll call you." And you never want to put it in their hands. You want to be the person with the phone number to be able to contact them when you want, right? And so that's why it's important to go in that sequence. Okay, so you've given them the flyer, and now it's time to wrap up the conversation. Just be like, "Okay, look, yeah, hey, I'll see you at the tour. I'll confirm it with you the day of, or maybe you'll give them a call later on. Maybe you want to give them some lease comps or something like that." So, but make sure you follow up, as soon as you can, a couple days later, a week later, because you don't want them to forget you. Okay, so I want to share one last tip. What if they don't answer the door? What if nobody's home? Okay, so now you're like, "Damn it, I wasted half an hour." So here's a couple of things you can do. You can go to the neighbors' houses and be like, "Hey, I'm looking for so-and-so that lives next door. Do you know when they're usually home? Or, why do they have the property that's on 123 State Street? Why is it vacant?" Start asking questions. And again, if you're dressed properly, they're not going to question why you want to know these things. And 2, here's another tip that I like to do, is I like to have a postcard with me, the same postcard that I sent them the week before. And I write there, "Hey, I dropped by at this time or whatever. I wanted to talk to you about the property on 123 State Street. I'll come back later tonight. Hopefully you're home." And so when they read that, they're gonna be like, "God damn it, I don't want it. I don't want some random guy knocking on my door at 7 o'clock. So they might text you and be like, "Hey, call me later, or don't bother coming to my house. The property's already leased, or whatever. But at least you'll get a text from them, or maybe even a call. So that's worked for me in the past. Maybe you should try it out. All right, guys, those were all of my tips based on all my experience with door knocking, and I hope they're helpful. Try them out. Share some of your tips down there. And again, this is a user-driven channel. Leave some comments, leave some suggestions on future episodes, things you want to hear about, things you want to learn about. And so I'll catch you guys on the next one. Keep hustling.